Welcome! Today's fairy tale lesson is The Three Little Pigs. This was designed for first grade by Antonia Ferrer. Today's first grade fairy tale lesson for The Three Little Pigs covers an English and language arts subject area. We're looking at spending about 10 to 15 minutes together during this lesson, and the objectives we're going to cover will be identifying the magical and impossible elements found in fairy tales. Primary standards addressed explain major differences between books that tell stories and books that give information. We're also going to be drawing on a wide reading of range of text types. The essential question of the day is, what are the characteristics or elements of fairy tales? What you will need for today's lesson, materials include pencils, colored pencils, construction paper, butcher paper, markers, and The Three Little Pigs, the YouTube story read aloud is provided. Our essential question of the day is, what are the characteristics or elements of fairy tales? These elements include characters, setting, personification, magic or spells, phrases of speech, and problems and solutions. Let's start with characters. A character is a person or people in the story. Characters in fairy tales are usually good or bad, heroes or villains. They're often royalty, like kings and queens, princes and princesses. Characters might even be make-believe too. This can include mermaids, giants, unicorns or other mythical creatures, and even fairies. Setting. The setting is where the story takes place. For example, Little Red Riding Hood takes place in the woods, while Cinderella takes place in a castle. Where do you think The Three Little Pigs takes place? Personification. Personification means giving human characteristics to non-human but living things. In this story that you are about to read, you will see three little pigs acting like people. I wonder if we will see any other animals behaving like humans in our story. One of the most unique elements of a fairy tale is the magic or the spells. From magical potions that make characters fall in love, to reciting a secret spell to make a door open, magic and spells of all sorts exist in fairy tales. For example, Cinderella had a fairy godmother helping her make wishes come true, but Snow White had an evil witch use magic to poison her apple. I wonder if we will see any use of magic or spells in The Three Little Pigs. Special phrases of speech are an easy way to immediately identify a fairy tale. Fairy tales often use specific phrases to identify openings and endings of their stories. For example, fairy tales commonly open with the beginnings, "Once upon a time," or "A long, long time ago," both describing a period of time long before we were around. Fairy tales commonly end with the phrases, "And they lived happily ever after," or "The end." Problem and solution. Every fairy tale contains a problem and a solution. Usually the fairy tale is trying to teach a lesson of morals or ethics. Let's see if we can discover the moral of our story, The Three Little Pigs. Our activity for today is going to be creating a KWL chart. This includes what I know, what I want to know, and what I've learned. Before reading the story, draw the chart on a large piece of construction paper. Next, complete the first two boxes, what I know and what I want to know. Let's take a moment to do this now before we read our story.
The Three Little Pigs. There was once a mother pig who had 3 baby pigs. They grew up and got bigger until the mother pig had to say, "You are too big to live here. You need to go and build houses for yourselves. But be careful. There's a wolf out there, and you don't want him to catch you." The little pigs set off, telling their mother, "We will be careful." While they were walking, they came upon a man who was carrying some straw. "May I please have some straw?" asked the first little pig. "I want to build myself a house." "Of course," said the man, and he gave the pig the straw. The first little pig took it and made himself a nice home. The other 2 little pigs kept walking down the road. They came across a man who was carrying some sticks. "Could I please have some sticks?" asked the second little pig. "I want to build a house." The man said, "Sure," and he gave the second little pig some of his sticks. Then the second little pig went on and built himself a house. It was stronger than the house of straw, and the second little pig was excited. The third little pig kept walking all by himself. It took a while, but he met a man carrying some bricks. "Please, could I have some bricks?" asked the third little pig. "I want to build a strong house." "Yes," said the man, and he shared some of his bricks with the third little pig. The little pig built his brick house, happy that it was so strong, even if it took a lot longer to build. The next day, the wolf came down the road. He saw the house of straw that the first little pig built, and went right up and knocked on the door. He said, little pig, let me come in." "No," said the pig, "not by the hair on my chinny-chin-chin." "Then I'll huff, and I'll puff, and I'll blow your house in," said the wolf. And he huffed and he puffed, and he blew the straw house right over. The pig had to run as fast as his legs would carry him to the second little pig's stick home. The next day, the wolf walked farther down the road. He came upon the stick house. He knocked on the door and said, little pig, let me come in." "No," said the second little pig, "not by the hair on my chinny-chin-chin." "Then I'll huff, and I'll puff, and I'll blow your house in," said the wolf. And he huffed and he puffed, and he blew that stick house over. The 2 little pigs had to run as fast as their legs would carry them to the third little pig's brick home. The next day, the big bad wolf walked even farther down the road. He saw the third little pig's strong brick house, and he walked up to the door and said, little pig, let me come in." "Not by the hair on my chinny-chin-chin," said the pig. "Then I'll huff, and I'll puff, and I'll blow your house in." And he huffed, and he puffed, and he huffed, and he puffed, but he could not blow that house down. So the big bad wolf started climbing up the side of the house. Little pigs, I'm coming in," he growled. The pigs were terrified. What were they going to do? The third little pig did the first thing he could think of. He lit a fire in his fireplace and pushed his biggest pot over it. Down, down, down the chimney the wolf climbed until... Yow! The big bad wolf scalded his rear on the hot pot and scrambled back up the chimney, down the street, and never bothered the 3 little pigs again. Thanks for watching! Click on these videos to watch more great kids learning videos.
May and June and July and August, September, October, November, December. Came the rain and washed the spider out. Up came the sun. I-N-G-O and Bingo was his name. Oh.
Now that we've read the story, let's discuss what elements make The 3 Little Pigs a fairy tale. Where is the setting? Where did the story take place? Did you see any personification, characters that were acting like humans? Was there a villain or a bad guy? Did you see any magic or spells in the story? What was the problem and the solution? Now let's look back at our KWL chart. After reading the story, complete the last box, What I've Learned. What did you learn about the three little pigs? What were some of the elements or characteristics of the story that made it a fairy tale? Thank you, or should I say, and they lived happily ever after. The end.